Good morning. Welcome to day 34. Hello, buddies. There is some water. This is day 34 of the DeStress series countdown. Hope this day's finding you well. Good morning, buddies. Today on the phone with me, I have Monica. Monica is from Morning, dear. She's 9 years old and she's from Texas. Her mom and I work together in critical care. And so today, Monica, we were talking about some important things that are going on, both with coronavirus and some misunderstandings, and how, let's start tapping, and how we can be a light of knowledge of what's inside of ourselves so that we can be good leaders in the world for what has to be done, right? To create good relationships and to have health and happiness. So today our focus is on, there was a game that was being played at the Capitol last week, and that game, Monica was saying she knows that game, and so we actually we played a little bit, and Monica came up with this one, that one, and I didn't guess it because the letter K is really tricky, right? But that's a game called Hangman. And so last week at the Capitol, Monica was saying they were playing Hangman, but you're not allowed to use names of people, right? No. And you can't use names of places. You can use nouns, right? So Monica and I played that game, and you spell really well, and that was a tricky one because it has 3 vowels in this one, and then the letter K is missing, so we couldn't really guess that one over here, me and Puppy. So what Monica was saying was they were playing the game Hangman with the name Pence, and that's not fair because you can't use a name, right? And you don't use like people, you don't use places, but you can use things, you can use nouns. So we're going to tap on, there were some things that happened there. The game was being played wrong, right? The game was that inside, if we have an understanding of ourselves, then we can be a light unto ourselves to create a better situation. And this is what happened. So Chris Christie is a good friend of President Trump's, and Chris Christie said, I know President Trump for 20 years. And he said, one thing, even as a businessman before he became our president, he did not like to lose. So what was really good that President Trump did, he initially didn't like to lose, and he wasn't shining a light into that understanding that part of himself, right? Initially, he just went for the part, and that's all good. He followed the right pathways to say, well, maybe I didn't lose, and he went to all these people, 70 or 80 people, who all said, yeah, you did lose, right? So the game wasn't rigged. It was just that you have to look at this, and this is what happened, and this is the truth, and this is a fact. And the other thing that sometimes when people don't really look inside their hearts and see what it is about themselves, they can't really fix something until they recognize and see, oh, I don't like to be defeated, which is wonderful because Chris Christie knows Don Trump very well, and he said that's something that's been inside of him all this time, the 20 years that he's known him. So when we love ourselves, which is what Donald Trump said later, um, after a lot of things had happened, unfortunately, sometimes it takes that long. He said, everybody go home in peace because I did lose. So he was able to look inside and see what his weakness was in the midst of all of this. Like, oh, maybe I was wrong. And this actually happened with the Pope too. Pope Benedictus the 16th, right? He had all this information in front of him, just like Trump and Mike Pence did. They both had all this information in front of them, like coronavirus is really, really dangerous and it's killing a lot of people. And the way to really guide, and that's I think why people were mad at Mike Pence, and they wanted to play the hangman game with his name, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was they were mad that he didn't tell them the truth about coronavirus. And neither did President Trump, because they did not really look inside of themselves and see something that was true. So what happened with Pope Benedictus the 16th? And he was friends with Pope Francis. And he was able to talk with him about some things that, even though they were put on his desk, like lots of times, over and over and over, it was all on my desk, and I saw it, and I saw it, and I saw it, and I saw it, but there was something blocking him from really seeing what was actually going on. And that was something inside of him. And that takes a lot of courage. And that's something that Mike Pence and Donald Trump looked inside their hearts, and they saw that they loved themselves, and they looked inside and they said, you know what? I love me, and I'm looking inside and I see that I did this wrong. We're going to have a peaceful transition. We're going to start the recovery with the coronavirus, because I did not, even though it was right in front of me, I did not actually see that that was true. So sometimes this happens when people have bad things that happen to them in their childhood, and because they're afraid to look inside the heart and see what's in there and understand what's in there. Like, oh, I just don't like to be defeated. But now I'm an adult, and so I can take this and I can move forward, and I can be in a place of defeat. That's okay, right? And then I can also help the new people who won, right? So there's these new ideas coming in, like, how are we going to take care of coronavirus? And so one idea that the kids were coming up with was that everybody could sign up who doesn't believe in the coronavirus, who thinks it's not really true, because they were listening to their policymakers who didn't know either, really. Then all they have to do is follow a critical care nurse for 3 weeks. So before the inauguration, there will be big screens set up at the Capitol. This is a great idea. I love it. And the kids came up with this, and then those screens will show everybody who's working. Like, now we have the firemen working, and they're setting up tents in the parking lots, and people are in the lobbies, and with coronavirus, and a lot of people are very sick. So this is something that we know there's a few things that we can just take care of to lessen our exposure to the coronavirus, like wearing a mask, staying 6 feet apart, or more if you're singing or yelling. And then also, you can wash your hands for 20 seconds with soap. So, one of the things that Pope Benedictus and Pope Francis learned was that the job of a pope is to shine the light of Jesus Christ to the world, right? But before you do that, you have to be able to shine a light unto yourself. Because if you don't see, and that's what tapping is good for. Tapping is good for shining a light, for being able to tap on this point, and what this karate chop point does is it slows down the firing to the amygdala, which is your fight-flight system of the brain. So if you can slow down the firing to the fight-flight, which makes you run from danger, then instead what happens, let's see if I have, I meant to put a picture. Instead, what happens is the capillaries in the prefrontal cortex, which is your self-awareness center, those capillaries can stay dilated and the oxygen can continue going there, so you can figure out and you can actually think about what the next best thing to do is, right? So for coronavirus, we know what the next best thing to do is, but Mike Pence and Donald Trump did not know really what the next best thing to do was. So they weren't telling everybody, this is what you have to do so we can finish this thing and get back to work and start, building our economy again. So what we're going to do now is they're going to have people can sign up, and you can go to your state legislator, and you can you go to that area, like when you go to the Capitol Mall, you just go there, and there will be a little video where you can talk to the person who is your state, who belongs to your state, and then that person will tell you who you can follow for critical care. So you can see, yeah, this is the truth. This is what happens with coronavirus. And then that way there won't be any questions about, does coronavirus, is it a myth or not? It's true. It's a reality. And I know that because I'm a critical care nurse, and your mom I used to work with. So as a traveling nurse. So what we'll do is we'll have the people who don't believe it's true, we should have them follow a critical care nurse for 1 week or 3 weeks, whatever it takes for them to see the truth. And then the other thing is, of course, Joseph Biden and Kamala Harris, the president and vice president-elect, they're going to be starting jobs for people to get them right away into the climate crisis, repairing that. So the beautiful thing is, President Trump did tell everybody, go home. We're going to have the new president come in. He's going to teach us about the coronavirus and how to take care of it. And then we're also going to learn how to have new jobs that will take care of how to fix the climate crisis so we don't have all these big fires and hurricanes and flooding. And that will be immediate also, starting like right away in 9 days. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap, because this is DeStress series, so we tap away any kind of stress about, those games that were being played and they were playing them wrong. But now they looked inside their hearts and they said, oh yeah, this is the right way to play the game. And we do it through love and peace. And that was a beautiful, beautiful, and very important message, because it is through love and peace that we understand ourselves, we understand how we can be in the world so that humanity will thrive. All right? So what we're going to do is we're going to tap right away. We're going to relax the tongue onto the bottom of the mouth. And so you just relax it, and I want you to focus, close your eyes, and we're going to do like 10 deep breaths. And while you're doing these 10 deep breaths, we're going to relax that tongue completely on the bottom of the mouth. All right, so beginning now, and I want you to imagine yourself in radiant, perfect, beautiful health. So we'll do 5 deep breaths more. And relaxing the tongue completely on the bottom of the mouth. Just drop it there. Deep breathing and imagining the radiant health. Okay, now that you have that image in your mind, I would like you to tap on any kind of resistance that you have to having that radiant health. So we know from tapping right here on this karate chop point, this is where we start. We set up our statement with the problem in a box in the middle, and we precede it with, even though I have this fear of having radiant health, I deeply, and you follow it with the, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So here we go, tapping on the karate chop point and repeating after me. Even though I was afraid to see people without masks, right, Monica? That was the big thing. Yeah, I know. You said your mouth dropped, right? Wow, Mommy, they don't have masks. Even though I was shocked, how about that? Even though I was shocked to see people without masks, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Tapping. Even though I'm afraid to see people without all the masks. Lots of people without masks. Good repeating, my dear. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm afraid to see people without their mask, I deeply and completely love and accept myself exactly as I am. This resistance to health. This resistance to health. This resistance to radiant, beautiful health. I am me with this resistance. I am me without resistance to radiant health. Whether I have this resistance or whether I don't have this resistance, I look inside of me and I see the resistance clearly and I hold it and I learn from it and I love myself and I shine a light on it. I shine a light on my weakness so that I can understand and make a better choice. I walk in radiant health. I talk in radiant health. I perceive in radiant health. I honor myself with radiant health. I feel this bliss. I love my body and brain. With or without COVID-19 in the environment, I love myself wholly and completely. I see myself in radiant health in mind, body, and spirit. And I feel good. Ooh, Monica, thanks for joining us and bringing up this wonderful topic and sharing your thoughts about the games and learning about what's inside of each person and having courage to look inside and see exactly what is there. All right, stay healthy. Love you.